It was a chilly evening in downtown Chicago, the kind that made people pull their coats tighter and quicken their steps. Amid the blur of hurried commuters and honking cars, a young woman sat on the cold concrete curb, her thin jacket doing little against the biting wind. Her shoes were worn, and her hair fell in untamed strands across her face. Clutched in her hands was a small cardboard sign that read, "Hungry? We'll sing for food." She looked up occasionally, eyes scanning the crowd for a hint of kindness. A man in his early 40s, dressed in a tailored coat and carrying a leather briefcase, noticed her. Something in her posture, a mix of hesitation and courage, caught his attention. As he slowed down, she lifted her head and spoke softly, almost trembling, "If I sing well, will you give me some food?" He paused, surprised by the directness and honesty in her voice, and nodded. "All right, sing for me." She closed her eyes and began to sing, her voice raw but hauntingly melodic. The notes carried through the noisy street, drawing the attention of passers-by. People stopped to listen, mesmerized. The man, deeply moved, reached into his coat and handed her a warm sandwich and a bottle of water, watching her eyes light up with gratitude. The following evening, David returned to the same street, the city lights casting long shadows on the sidewalk. He carried a small guitar he had bought, hoping to offer her more than just words of encouragement this time. As he approached, he saw her sitting in the same spot, her cardboard sign faded but her spirit unmistakably alive. "I brought something for you," he said gently, setting the guitar beside her. "If you want, you can play this while you sing." Her eyes widened in disbelief. Music had always been her refuge, a way to escape the harshness of the streets, but no one had ever thought to nurture her talent. With tentative fingers, she strummed the strings, producing a soft, uncertain sound. Then, taking a deep breath, she began to sing. Her voice blended blues and hope, carrying the weight of hardship yet brimming with resilience. Passers-by paused, mesmerized, and some dropped coins into her open guitar case. A few left notes of encouragement, their words scrawled in hurried pen on scraps of paper. The once cold street seemed warmer, filled with admiration and quiet respect. David watched, heart swelling, realizing that a simple act of faith and kindness could ignite a spark in someone's life, turning despair into something beautiful and powerful. Word of the young street singer spread quickly through the neighborhood, and soon local cafes began inviting her to perform in exchange for meals and tips. Her once lonely evenings on the sidewalk transformed into small crowds gathering to hear her sing, their applause echoing against brick walls. One evening, as she finished a heartfelt rendition of a classic ballad, a woman approached her with a professional yet warm demeanor. "I've heard you sing," the woman said. "I'm Carla, a music producer. You have something truly special. Would you like to record a song in a studio?" Tears welled in the singer's eyes. Music had been her dream for years, but poverty and circumstance had always kept it out of reach. With David standing beside her, giving an encouraging nod, she accepted. The studio was a revelation. Surrounded by polished equipment and professionals, she felt a mix of awe and nervous excitement. As she sang, her voice, raw, soulful, and filled with emotion, filled the room. Carla and the engineers exchanged amazed glances, recognizing a rare, undeniable talent. By the end of the session, they knew they had witnessed the beginning of something extraordinary. David's heart swelled with pride. The simple act of listening and believing had helped transform a struggling street singer into a rising star. Months later, she stood on a small stage in a cozy downtown venue, the warm lights highlighting her face as she looked out at the audience. What had once been a cold sidewalk now felt like a place of celebration. Her voice, still raw and full of emotion, carried effortlessly through the room, captivating everyone present. David sat in the front row, a proud smile on his face, remembering the first time he had heard her sing for a sandwich. As she finished a particularly moving song, she spoke softly into the microphone, dedicating it to everyone who believed in me when no one else would. The audience erupted in applause, some wiping tears from their eyes. The local news had featured her story, inspiring people throughout Chicago, and donations had started pouring in. She used some of the money to help other street performers with meals and instruments, paying forward the kindness she had received. Her journey from hardship to recognition had become a symbol of hope, showing that small acts of compassion could change a life forever. The girl who once sang for scraps on the curb had become a rising talent, touching hearts and proving that belief, encouragement, and generosity could transform even the coldest streets into places of opportunity and light.